everybody. I'm Dennis Prager. I had a lot of calls, obviously, on the NSA issue, and we'll certainly return to it, but I have too much to talk to you about, including I actually want to bring to you a reason for optimism about America. I never fooled you. I tell you that I'm pessimistic, but that we have to fight. Right? And that's what I do. If only optimists fight, then no good battle will ever be won. I mean, it's so odd to me if people say, oh, I'm pessimistic, I'm not going to fight. All I think every time I hear that is I think of the guys who stormed Normandy Beach on D-Day. Were they optimistic that they would live? If they were, they wouldn't have. So many of them wouldn't have been peeing in their pants. Those poor guys on those boats, on the first waves at Omaha Beach, waiting for submachine guns from the Nazis to mow them down. You fight, folks, whether you're pessimistic or optimistic. Anyway, but here's a reason for optimism. Sitting actually with me in the room, he's 22 years old, Charlie Kirk. He's founder and executive director of Turning Point USA. It's a national student movement that promotes conservative values on campuses. How many campuses are you on?
We are now on 1,000 college and high school campuses across the country.
So I asked him right before he went on, I said, so what college did you go to? And then he went to my favorite college. None.
I went to Prager University, too.
Actually, I am going to tell you something. When we have enough courses up there, unless you have to learn a skill like physics or medicine, something like that, it will suffice. Because the most important thing to have is wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And there is none at colleges. They're anti-wisdom places. So when you said you didn't go to college, I thought, wow, that's great. That's just great. So now you're on 1,000 campuses, something you started in high school.
That's correct.
It's a very interesting thing in life. What produces certain types of people, and it's a nature. It's hard to explain because you're a 1 in a million type. I'm not complimenting you. It's just a fact. And thank God you exist. So you've created this. What does it do on campuses?
Yeah, essentially we are doing the clipboard and tennis shoes type of work on these campuses. We're starting chapters, growing groups, registering voters that agree with freedom and liberty, finding other like-minded students that are kind of fed up with the culture that has been propagated on these campuses. You wouldn't believe how many young people are looking for an alternative point of view. See, the left has made a big mistake, and that is they have become the academic establishment of which they used to be fighting against. See, the left's rise to power in the 60s and 70s is all about raging against the machine. And now they've actually become that machine. And so young people in college today are being indoctrinated, and they're being steered toward a point of view that, quite frankly, runs contrary to the spirit of being young. Conformity, one-size-fits-all, top-down power. And if you look at what it really means to be a college or high school student in America, there's kind of a spirit of rebellion inherent in being young. And we're starting to channel that around the ideas of free markets, limited government, and there's a growing undercurrent amongst our nation's youth to be involved in an activistic type organization so that we can actually start to move the ball forward on college and universities and also across the country.
So the average student, in your opinion, looks at these students who are now making all these demands, hire more administrators to ensure greater diversity and all the other keywords of political correctness. Does the average student think, yeah, that's a wonderful thing?
Not so much. And I'll say this, a lot of the protests you see at Missouri and Yale are actually being stirred up by professional protesters and agitators being brought on to these campuses to stir up this controversy. The average student, quite frankly, couldn't care less about how many diversity officers there are, these free speech codes. This is just a narrative that is being painted by a certain very loud contingent of, I would say, more entitled students on campus that are in such prime positions in their life they have nothing better to worry about than what's going to be said next that will offend me. So there's a group of college students that are waiting to be offended next, and they're using these free speech codes and zones
All
as a
right.
way to suppress alternative points of view.
All right, I want to talk to you about, you did a video last week when we were in Israel, so we couldn't promote, about the student loans.
Right.
We're going to talk about that. Charlie Kirk is my guest. Hey everybody, there are many reasons for optimism. There are also many reasons for pessimism, but I bring you both. Another reason for optimism is this young man, Charlie Kirk, 22, founder, executive director of Turning Point USA. Is that the name of the website?
That's tpusa.com, correct.
tpusa.com. It's up at dennisprager.com. Charlie Kirk has been doing great work. 1,000 campuses already. By the way, I just want to say to you, Charlie, and to my listeners, there is every reason to believe, despite the indoctrination of high school, now elementary school, and certainly college, there is absolute reason to believe what you said earlier is true, that they are open to hearing us. I know it from my own visits to colleges. I know it because the largest demographic of the 40 million views Prager University has this year is under 35 years of age. That's something. They have been indoctrinated, but as soon as they hear something rational that isn't there, they go, well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your experience?
Absolutely. And I get asked all the time, well, why don't we indoctrinate our young people with conservative views the same way the left has indoctrinated current students with liberal views? And I say, the good thing about the truth is you don't indoctrinate, you enlighten people to it.
That's my man. That's all we want.
And that's all you got to
yes.
do. You just open the box and you let it be free. And when you actually go through the process of reasoned thinking and challenging the status quo, and which, by the way, Prager University is doing with incredible efficiency and effectiveness, young people are starving for a different point of view. See, what it's like to be a young person on a college campus right now, you go from your soft social science department to your economics department to your humanities. It's all this one-size-fits-all common philosophy. America is bad, capitalism is evil, we need a revolution to overthrow the ruling class, and the only solution to all of this is more government and less freedom for yourself. But when there's a point of view that says free people making free decisions in a free society not only works morally and ethically, but it works pragmatically. When you talk about constitutional liberty, when you talk about how you can make your own decisions in a free society, that's not just an ideology, that's a philosophy young people can and will buy into. They just have to be exposed to it.
Yep, indeed. Charlie Kirk's video for PragerU, was that your first with us?
That's correct, yes.
Was up last week. We didn't feature it because I was, of course, broadcasting from Israel. But it's called The Game of Loans, and it is a game. It's not even. It's worse than a Ponzi scheme, actually, because they're not even having the next group pay for it. Nobody's paying for it. It's just being paid for by the citizen of the United States, and it really encourages more people to vote Democrat. That, I have to say, is depressing about the young people in America, how they have been bought. Vote Democrat, we'll give you free lunch, free breakfast, free tuition, free medical care. Everything is free. Just vote Democrat.
That's right. And the best way to create future Democratic voters is to first prop up and to manufacture a crisis. So what's the best way to get a lot of people dependent on government? Make it seem like government is the only solution. So I believe firmly that big government Democrats and some Republicans have manufactured the student loan crisis over the last 30 to 40 years. They've injected trillions of dollars of cheap money into higher education. They have sought after students with predatory practices to try to solicit cheap student loans, make them take out these loans to go study degrees that may or may not have any sort of relevancy in the job market. Once they graduate, then they're completely destitute with choices and options, and the only salvation that they could possibly think of is government forgiveness in the form of, if you vote for me, I will give you free stuff. See, the Democrats, they wake up every single day, and their mission, their objective is, how do I get more people dependent on the federal government? I believe firmly that the way that they have planned and strategized to get more young people dependent on the government is through the student loan crisis. It is the most dangerous financial issue facing young people today, and quite frankly, we've never seen anything quite like it in modern economic or modern generational history. It's going to be cataclysmic in almost every single regard.
What is the sum now? What is the
1.3 trillion in the aggregate, and then per borrower about $28,000. That's per borrower. That's not even per graduate. We point this out in the Prager University video.
Right. Yes.
So over half of all the student loan debt held in this country is being held by people that never graduated. They got no return on the debt
Right.
that they
That
incurred.
is like getting a huge loan on your house and getting no house.
Yeah, getting no house, precisely. And even the ones that might graduate, they have degrees in communications or Western
Right.
medieval history. It's
Well, I could handle the medieval history. It's the communications. The first one, or gender studies, ethnic studies,
Precisely.
The like, yes. We want a certain number of people
and
to know our history.
you look at really what's going on here. The left has been so strategic in the way that they have planned this. Not only do they want more young people to go to college because they can get them dependent on the federal government, but that's also how they are instilling their value system in them. Because they know if you can get a young person to walk into a freshman humanities class, more times than not, they will walk away with anti-American, anti-capitalistic, anti-freedom viewpoints, and they will be a liberal voter for life.
I was thinking when you were talking about the student loan and how much, of course, what is it, $60,000 now on some campuses a year. I read what a kid at Yale gets. Do you know that you have to go to $1,000 a night South Pacific Island resort to duplicate what a student gets at Yale in terms of swimming pool, sauna. They have special what is it, the hammocks that they have outside their dorm. Back in a moment. Hello, my friends. Final segment of this hour here. Ultimate Issues Hour is coming up. Charlie Kirk is head of Turning Point USA, TPUSA, or you could just get it through our website at DennisPrager.com. He's already on 1,000 campuses. He's just 22 years of age. The only university he attended, in his words, is Prager University. It's part of the reason he thinks so clearly. I got a question. It's a challenge, too, as well to you, because obviously you give us reason for optimism, given your age and your effectiveness. But I am concerned about an additional aspect of what's happening to America, and that is that how many in your generation list themselves religiously as none? Because even with a commitment to Constitution and reason, this country was not founded on them alone. And there, I don't know how much progress is being made.
And I agree. And I would say this. When most people say they're not religious, they do in fact have a religion. That religion is statism. See, the state, in many aspects, is taking place of what the church used to be, or the church or the religious institution, whether it be a synagogue or a local community outfit. See, people are looking not for religious officials or institutions for moral clarity or answers. Instead, they're looking for elected officials and leaders. And personally, I'm an evangelical Christian, and I attend on a regular basis. But when I see my peers and colleagues try to separate the religious component and the moral component and foundation of their livelihood and of this country, it's very dangerous. And that's how you get the rise of the state. As the country becomes more secular, people will look towards government for more answers, for direction, and for leadership. And when you have that paradigm completely switched, then the state will then target and attack the religious institutions, which is exactly where we are today, unfortunately.
Well, I'm very happy to hear. I did not know that you were religious. I'm very happy to hear that, because I think that the libertarian appeal to young people, which I fully understand, and which in many ways I support, is insufficient because it is overwhelmingly secular. So you're really our guy. I wish you great luck. You could watch him on the Prager University video of last week. Doesn't matter what week, they're all timeless. But it's about the game of loans. You should see it. It's fun as well as informative. Okay, everybody, Ultimate Issues coming up. Charlie, it's great to be with you.
Thank you.
Good luck. and great success to you.